Hi everybody, Jillian here for Illustrated Faith to bring you a brand new Bible journaling process video using some of the new releases from the Better Together artists in the Print and Pray shop over at illustratedfaith.com/shop. If you're interested in any of the printable pieces that I use today, I will have them linked in the description below for you to check out. And today I'm going to be finger painting in my Bible. That may seem kind of weird, but I was just really inspired to use my fingers today instead of a paintbrush or a baby wipe or a card or whatever. I just thought I would have some fun and get some color on the page. So I was really inspired by the artist mood board this month and the colors of the pieces, especially this pink elephant piece and the piece under it from Salted Brew. I loved the pinks and aquas and navies together. So those are the colors of paint that I'm going to use on my page kind of as a foundation for the page, and then I will get the printable pieces on there with my title and journaling and things like that. So I wanted to layer these different colors on top of each other, being sure to use my heat tool to dry them in between each application so they don't get all muddy and gunky and stuff like that. So I used an old piece of packaging that I had and just squirted a little bit of paint on there, dipped my finger in it, and spread it across the page. It's super simple. This page took me under 30 minutes to do, so that was really cool too. So I'm in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 here. The verse that I'm journaling is actually on the back side of this page, but I wanted to put it here because you can see I kind of have a partially complete entry on the left, and these two are going to talk to each other in my Bible once I finish both of them, so that's why I wanted to do it on this page. So the verse that I'm journaling says, "No one should seek their own good, but the good of others." So as we're going through revival camp and we're talking about love, this idea in chapters 9 and 10 of 1 Corinthians really stood out to me. And Jesus tells us to love God and love one another. And I thought this was such a great example of how to love one another. Paul demonstrates it very well for us here. And that's kind of what I'm talking about today. So while I'm waiting for that paint to dry, I'm going to go ahead and get my title ready. I've been really loving using black alpha stickers for my title, all fonts, all shapes, all sizes. And so I got those letters picked out and put across the top of my Bible mat there. And then I'm going to go ahead and use these tile alphas that Elaine did for the revival camp like supplemental pieces, because I really liked the tone-on-tone pink there and thought it went well with all of the color on this page. For some reason, I thought it would be really cool to have this elephant piece that says remember act almost like a charm in my Bible. So I'm not going to adhere it to the page in my Bible. I instead am using some twine. I poked a hole in the piece and I'm using some twine here to kind of make it like a charm. And I want to layer a banner underneath it. So the pink hexie is from Brave Little Tailor's set called Wild About Jesus. And then this piece that I'm cutting here into a banner is from Salted Brew's set, World Rebel. And I decide that this is too small of a banner. I'm going to go ahead and cut a larger one. But I wanted to layer them up at the top of the page here. So here I go. I'm making a slit in the middle of the page and then coming in a triangle almost to create the banner piece here. Now it was a little wonky, so I ended up trimming one side off, and then I'm just trying here to figure out how they'll look best layered. I'm realizing I'm covering a lot of text and I'm covering a lot of the paint that I put down, but I think this is how I'm going to keep it. Now I really wanted to use these adorable cactus from Shauna Klingerman, but I most importantly wanted to make sure there was enough room for journaling on my page, so I'm going to keep those to the side for now. You will see that I try and make them work a few times later in the video. And to kind of replicate the needles on the cactus, I thought it would be cool to use the element stamp from Illustrated Faith with some Brilliance Moonlight White pigment ink. And I'm just stamping the dots, the dot pattern, on top of the swatches of paint here. I don't exactly get the look that I was going for. There's not so much contrast. I think next time I might try and take the white big brush pen from Faber-Castell and try some mark making that way, like here, because this wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So it is a pigment ink. It's going to stay wet for a while, so I just hit it with my heat tool to help speed up the drying process, and then I'm going to go ahead and get these paper pieces down. So I adhered the banner to the page, and then it's almost acting like an anchor for this pink piece that I'm going to put in, and then just use the tiny attacher to staple the string to the page at the top so it moves around. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get my title down. I like to line it up across the top of my Bible mat here because I can kind of move it around and look to see where it's going to fit best before committing to sticking it down and then having to pick it up again and sticking it down, and you know how that goes. So I'm deciding here to just write in most of the title that I'm going to use, and I'm spelling out the phrase "for the good of others," and I want to use the tile alphas to spell out the word others, and since I'm on the right page and I want to make sure that I don't run out of room for this word, I'm starting with the S and working my way to the right, just so that I can make sure all of the letters fit on the page without having to pick them up and put them back down again, because that would happen to me. So we're going through revival camp and it's all about love. And as I was reading these two chapters in 1 Corinthians, chapters 9 and 10, what really stood out to me was Paul's love for others. In chapter 9, he talks about certain things that he has a right to as an apostle, like support from the church, but how he doesn't claim those privileges because he doesn't want to hinder the effectiveness of the gospel. To him, it's more important to spread the gospel in Corinth than it is for him to have his needs provided by the church. And then in chapter 10, the Corinthians kind of operate under this idea that they have freedom in Christ to do things that maybe in air quote a lesser man couldn't, especially when it came to food. So Paul says to them in verses 32 and 33, "Do not cause anyone to stumble, whether Jews, Greeks, or the church of God, even as I try to please everyone in every way, for I am not seeking my own good, but the good of many, so that they may be saved." And then he says in verse 1 of chapter 11, "Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ." Because Jesus tells us to love God and then love others, it's more important for him to make sure that no one is stumbling spiritually as a result of him and his preferences. And so that's what I wanted to document here. I had some kind of like weird trapped white space at the top of the page on the right, and I wanted to fill that in, so I put some washi tape up there and then had to put it around the page in a few more places, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my journaling down. So since the verse I'm actually journaling is on the back side of the page, I decided to go ahead and just jot it down again, verse 24. "No one should seek their own good, but the good of others." And then I'm writing this little blurb that I read from a commentator that stood out to me. And it says, "The Christian glorifies God when he limits his freedom for the spiritual benefit of others." And to me, that's what loving others is all about, right? Putting them before ourselves. So I'm trying here to figure out where I'm going to put my date stamp, because I kind of had an idea of when I wanted to put in the top right, but so I'm going to go ahead and put it down at the bottom. And then off camera, I went ahead and added a little more paint into the top right, you can see here, because it was just so bare up there. So that's it. Here are a couple close-ups of my page. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget, everything used in this video is linked in the description below. See you next time.